Good morning, Rabotai. We were asked by one of the local rabbis a very interesting question about the laws of Pesach. Is one allowed to smell Chametz on Pesach? He enjoys the smell. Where does he get the smell of Chametz? Let's say he's passing by a bakery, right? Let's say he went to Costco, right, over here, and there's a kosher bakery over there. So they may be operating also on Pesach because it's owned by a goy, I'm assuming. That's what I think it is. So anyway, he goes to Costco on Pesach, on Chol HaMoed, and he smells over there chametz. They're baking something, whatever. So the question is he allowed to smell it? Is he allowed to benefit from that? So in order to answer this question, right, a person has to know. The Chazal teach us that chametz is asur behana on Pesach, right? That's the way it is. Meaning what? You're not allowed to benefit from chametz at all. So one of the benefits that a person can get is also to smell it. So therefore, right, you may think to smell the chametz on Pesach obviously should be forbidden. The truth is, right, that we found in one of the books of our Moreno Rabbeinu, Maran, Alav Shalom, Rav Ovadia, he writes in his book Chazon Ovadia, Brachot Tu Bishvat. Over there, he talks about the issue of smelling things which are forbidden. What does that mean? That there are all kinds of things which are forbidden to smell, like orla, things which are forbidden for benefit. So therefore, the question is, are you allowed to smell things like that? You're not allowed to eat that, and also you're not allowed to benefit from that. And what about if it's something which is forbidden to eat, but you're allowed to benefit from it? There are also things like that, right? Trefot, nevelot, those things you're allowed to benefit from them, but you're not allowed to eat them. So the question is, are you allowed to smell these things? So it says the rabbi over there, he brings, right, two different things there. One is that if it's allowed to eat, it's not allowed to eat that food, but it's allowed to benefit from it, like trefot and nevelot. So there, the rabbi writes, even though there's a machloket regarding that, there's Shutei Giborim, who's machmir. He says that you're not allowed to smell things like that, but most of the poskim don't agree with Shutei Giborim. The Pri Chadash and many others don't agree with him, and they say that you're allowed to smell something any time of the year, which is forbidden to eat, but it's permitted to get benefit from that. So therefore, the halacha is that as a person is allowed to smell things like this, trefot v'nevelot. What does that mean? If you go, let's say, pass by a restaurant which is not kosher, they're making over their steaks or something, some kind of a roast, whatever, things like this. So a person is allowed to smell that and even to enjoy it, right? This is the idea. So questions like this now regarding things which are like forbidden for hana'ah, they're not allowed to benefit from. So there, really, right? There's two different issues there. The question is that food made for smelling, or it's not made for smelling? There are certain things like spices, herbs, things like this, which are made for smelling, like nana. We have mint, right? We have all kinds of things like this, which people take them on Shabbat to smell them, and they make a bracha also. So things like this, which are made for smelling, there, if it's something which is forbidden for hana, like ola, you're not allowed to benefit from it. So there, a person is also not allowed to smell it, right? Because he's not allowed to get any benefit from that. So therefore, right, smelling is a benefit. He's not allowed to smell that. It doesn't mean, by the way, that he can't pass by a place like that which has that smell. You know why? Because if he's not mitkaven, it's something else. If he doesn't have the intention to enjoy it, so he's allowed to pass by there, even though he gets benefit from it, but it's not his intention to smell that thing. He just needs to pass by there. So therefore, in a case like that, he's eno mitkaven. He doesn't have intention, and therefore he's allowed to pass by there and smell it. It's just a part of life. You're just passing by, right? But the question is, if your intention is to smell it, then what, right? If you really want to enjoy smelling it, that they're baking now, right? Something. So there, the truth is, right, that the rabbi writes, Alav Shalom Maran, over there in his book Chazon Ovadia, that this is allowed. Why is that? Even though this may be chametz, for instance, right, which you're not allowed to benefit from on Pesach, nevertheless, since this chametz, whether it's a cake or bread or muffins, whatever it is they're making, it's not made for smelling, right? As the rabbi writes in a different place also, in Chazon Ovadia there, in Brachot and Tu Bishvat, he writes that a person, right, he brings from Bet Yosef, that a person is not allowed to smell bread and make a blessing on that. Let's say, he doesn't have any spices, doesn't have any fragrances to make a blessing for Havdalah. He doesn't have anything to make a blessing. So what does he do, right? Let's say he takes bread, which is being baked now in the oven, fresh, and can he smell that and make the bracha for Havdalah? So the answer is no. It says Bet Yosef, you're not allowed to do that. You know why? Because we're not even really sure if there is a bracha for this, if there's a special blessing to make on bread, the smell of bread, because we don't find this in Talmud anywhere that you're allowed to do that. So therefore, it's like you're making up your own blessing and saying, "Oh, okay, I'll make a blessing on bread." Who told you that there's a blessing on bread to make for the smell of bread, even though it smells good? But nevertheless, right, the rabbis didn't make any blessings for that. They were not metaken. They didn't make any decrees about that. So therefore, it says Bet Yosef, a person is not allowed to make a blessing on bread. So therefore, if you're passing right by something, a place which has a smell of bread, as we said, right? If you're just passing by outside and you need to just pass by there, whatever it is, right? You're not inside the bakery itself. So then you don't have to. You can pass by there, but if you're inside, right, and smelling it on purpose, so that's already not allowed. You know why? Because you're not allowed to make a blessing on that. So you're getting into a doubt now, because there are some poskim who say that you have to bless on the bread, even though Bet Yosef says not to bless, but there are some who say we do bless. So therefore, a person is getting himself into a doubt. So therefore, what should he do? Right? If he's passing by outside, it doesn't matter, because that's not his intention anyway, right? To bless on the bread. And anyway, it's too far, and bread is not made for blessing. That's not the reason why it's made. It's made for eating. So therefore, since it's not made to bless on, it's not made to smell. So therefore, the halacha is, right, that a person can pass by outside and just, even though he's going to get that smell from it, he's going to enjoy it, but that's not his intention really, and therefore he's passing by. But when it comes to Chametz on Pesach, right, to smell it, so if a person is just passing by outside the bakery, he's not going inside the bakery itself, right, where they're baking, he shouldn't be there anyway, right? What business does he have there on Pesach to go inside the bakery where they're making Chametz over there? They're baking Chametz, right? So unless he works there, that's something else. It's a different story. We'll talk about that a different time. But the point is, right, that if he's just passing by, let's say he's in Costco, right, in the store, he's not inside the bakery itself. The bakery is a different section over there. So what that means is that even though he smells the chametz being baked right now, he's allowed to enjoy that, even though he intends to enjoy. You know why? Because bread is not made for smelling. That's not the reason why it's made. It's made for eating. So therefore, since the main intention of bread is not to smell on, it's to eat it. So therefore, something like that, there's no prohibition to smell it and enjoy it, even though it's not allowed. It's asur behana. It's not allowed to benefit from that on Pesach. But since it's not something which is made for smelling, so therefore that's not really considered to be a benefit in halacha. That's the way it is. That's the way the rabbi brings down over there, Chazon Ovadia, in the name of several poskim. Right, the Mordechai is the main posek who brings this down, and it's also supported by many others as well. That says the Mordechai that something which is not made for smelling, so there is no prohibition of getting benefit from that, even though it's something which is forbidden to benefit from. So therefore, something like that, a person is allowed to smell it, even though he intends to enjoy it. So even though there was one rabbi, we heard his video in Brooklyn, that he said that you're not allowed to smell something like that, and he brought in the name of the Kafahim, that it's not allowed to do that. But the truth is, it seems like it didn't look in the book of the rabbi, al-Bashalam, Maran. A person has to look in the books of the rabbi. You shouldn't just take it from other poskim, because the rabbi is more muvhak, he's more expert in halakha than most of the poskim. So therefore, a person shouldn't move around in halakha too much unless he looks in the books of the rabbi first, because he brings down Maran al Shalom. He brings all the poskim and very deep discussions over there. So it's a wonder to me how this rabbi paskins halakha without looking in the books of the rabbi al Shalom or Maran. If you don't look like that, if you don't look in his books, it's like it's a person who's going blindly, into closing his eyes and hiding his head in the sand. So he didn't look over there, and because of that, he didn't see. So he brought him the Kafahim. That's not allowed to smell it, but the truth is, right, the rabbi brings very clear sources that it is allowed to smell it. So therefore, the final verdict, right, as we said, is that a person is allowed to smell chametz on Pesach if he's passing by, outside the bakery, not going inside. What business does he have over there, right? But if he's just walking around outside the bakery, let's say he's in Costco or he's in the street or something like that, and he smells chametz, even though he intends to enjoy it, right? He's allowed to smell it, but he's not allowed to bless on that, right? As we said, because it says in Bet Yosef that we cannot bless on the bread, since we're not even sure if the rabbis made a bracha on that, a special blessing on that. So therefore, it's It's a concern of bracha l'batala, right? The blessing in vain. So therefore, he can smell it, but not bless on it. Chazak u'baruch and Yom Tov.